Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. That famous opening line from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem has echoed through history, but what's the real story behind that legendary gallop? Let's saddle up and ride back to the night of April 18, 1775. Tensions in the American colonies were at a breaking point. Boston was under British military occupation, and whispers of revolution were everywhere. The British Commander-General Thomas Gage planned a secret mission to march his troops to Concord, Massachusetts, seize a hidden cache of colonial weapons, and possibly arrest key Patriot leaders like Samuel Adams and John Hancock, who were hiding in Lexington. But the Patriots had spies everywhere. Dr. Joseph Warren, a key figure in Boston's revolutionary circle, got wind of the British plan. He knew he had to act fast. He summoned two riders, a silversmith and devoted patriot named Paul Revere, and a tanner named William Dawes. Their mission was critical: ride from Boston by different routes to warn Adams and Hancock in Lexington, and then continue on to Concord to alert the militia that the British were coming. The fate of the revolution literally rested on their shoulders. Now, you've probably heard the part about the lanterns in the Old North Church. One if by land, and two if by sea. This was a backup signal Revere arranged. If he was captured before he could leave Boston, a friend would hang one lantern if the British were marching out by land over Boston Neck, and two if they were crossing the Charles River by boat. That night, two lanterns gleamed in the belfry, signaling the British were coming by sea. Revere had to get out of Boston, which was locked down by British patrols. He quietly rowed across the Charles River, right under the nose of a British warship, the HMS Somerset. On the other side, in Charlestown, friends had a horse waiting for him. And so his midnight ride began. As Revere galloped through the darkness, he wasn't just shouting, "The British are coming," like the legend says. That would have been too obvious and dangerous. Most colonists still considered themselves British. Instead, he delivered a more specific and urgent message. The regulars are coming out. He rode through towns like Medford, Menotomy, and Arlington, knocking on doors, waking up local militia leaders and town officials. With every stop, he lit a spark, spreading the alarm like wildfire. Meanwhile, William Dawes was taking a longer land-based route. He also successfully spread the word, though his ride is less famous. In Lexington, Revere and Dawes met up and successfully warned Samuel Adams and John Hancock, who quickly escaped just before the British arrived. After leaving Lexington, Revere and Dawes were joined by a third rider, a young doctor named Samuel Prescott. The three of them rode on toward Concord, continuing to spread the alarm, but their luck was about to run out. A British patrol ambushed them. Prescott, a local, knew the area well and managed to escape, successfully carrying the warning all the way to Concord. Dawes also escaped, but his horse threw him, and he had to walk back. Paul Revere, however, was captured. The British soldiers questioned him, took his horse, and held him for a while. They eventually released him, but without his horse, his famous ride was over. He walked back to Lexington just in time to hear the first shots of the battle on Lexington Green. The shot heard round the world. So why is Paul Revere the most famous of the riders? A lot of the credit goes to Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. In 1860, on the eve of the Civil War, Longfellow wrote his poem, Paul Revere's Ride. He wanted to inspire a sense of national unity and patriotism. He took some creative liberties, simplifying the story to focus on Revere as a lone, heroic figure. The poem was a massive success and cemented Revere's ride in American folklore. But the reality is even more inspiring. It wasn't just one man. It was a network of brave men and women: Revere, Dawes, Prescott, the spies in Boston, the person who lit the lanterns, and the countless Minutemen who answered the call. They all worked together in a coordinated effort to stand up for their liberty. The alarm they raised that night was a success. Because of their warnings, the colonial militia, the Minutemen, were ready. When the British arrived in Lexington and then Concord, they were met with organized and determined resistance. This marked the beginning of the American Revolutionary War, so the next time you hear about Paul Revere's midnight ride, remember the full story. It's a tale of courage, strategy, and the power of ordinary people coming together to achieve something extraordinary. It's a powerful reminder that history is often made not by a single hero, but by a community of them. Thanks for watching. If you found this dive into history interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories behind the legends. See you next time.